Right.
Cross your
I'm
fingers.
good. I'm all good to go.
It is going.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think. I hope.
It's come through to Twitch.
Oh, there you go. It is going. It is going.
Yeah, we're all through to everything.
Yay!
Yay! Despite the fact I've changed things, things still work.
Do you know what's really funny? You're now coming through louder than you were before.
Great. I said, there's nothing's changed I'm still getting the same audio levels on this end as well. On my recording, it's the same audio as I had a minute
You've got
ago.
a hell of a range on your audio.
I know that's a good or bad thing, but I'm going to assume it's a good thing.
It's a pain in the ass, but whatever.
Well, I like giving you stuff to do.
Yeah, I don't like doing things.
I know. I mean, it's not that you've got much else going on at the moment, so I thought I'd give you some more stuff to do.
Mate, I wish. I wish.
Good day, on the SuffolkRam.
Skazz.
Welcome to episode 204 of the Ran Nerds podcast. Not
204.
many. 204. Not many podcasts left.
Yeah, when are we doing?
Two.
When are we doing? How many more we got? When's Christmas?
We got next time is the 19th. Then it's the 3rd of December. Then 17th, and then the 31st.
Fantastic.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 left. 4 more podcasts of 2022.
And then it's all over.
Well, until the 14th to the 13th of January.
And then it all starts again.
Yeah, exactly.
But with new numbers.
Yes, I have to update the series number on the template sheet.
And people are like, how have they not been cancelled yet? So many better shows have come and gone in the time that they've been running.
Here's the thing. You can't be cancelled if no one commissioned you in the first place.
Dun, dun, dun.
Smart thinking, that is.
See?
Smart thinking.
We've got all this sussed out. You'll never be rid of us.
No.
Ever.
Mm.
Even when like one of us dies, and like one of us is in an old folks' home, there'll just be a cardboard cutout.
At that point, I'm hoping AI will advance to the stage and, deep fakes and sort of vocal deep fakes.
So what you're saying, we're not going to be here. It's just the show's just going to run by itself every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, I'll set my computer just run a algorithm, and it'll just generate our voices, and it will do. I mean, I'm hoping we can get it going sooner rather than later, because that means we can have our every other weekend back, but we still produce the podcast. That'd be cool.
Do you know what would be really brutal if I actually started putting in proper content?
Yeah.
Like
yes.
Actual gaming content, actual news, hot takes, and you're like, whoa. What who the fuck are these guys? What happened to the podcast? Why are people listening to this stuff now?
Yeah.
What's up with all this traffic?
Why we've been remonetized? We're getting money in.
Oh
what?
My god.
What do we do? That's fine. The AI becomes pretty sentient and replaces us.
Yeah. Could you imagine if we'd be the trendsetters, the first fully AI generated podcast?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll look into it.
Sooner rather than later, please.
I'll see what I can get OpenAI to do for us.
Beautiful.
So, how's the hard drive recovery, Skazz, going?
Don't.
Oh, okay.
Just fucking don't. Worse.
Worse?
£2,000 laptop went bang.
No.
Yeah. I wish I was taking the piss. I had a breakdown. Like literally, I said we'd have the hard drive by Wednesday.
Yeah.
The laptop fried Wednesday afternoon.
Is that the same laptop that had the same hard drive and the same laptop?
Yeah.
Do you now think that maybe that's connected?
No.
Maybe the laptop...
No. It was, sadly, as embarrassing as it was my fault. It was my fault. So, when you work on a board, you disconnect all power, right?
Yes. Very important.
It's the thing you do. And in a laptop, you pull the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this machine, it had a clip on the battery connector. I've worked on this laptop many a time over the years. Well, since 2021 when I got it, I've opened it up loads and I've worked on it. And you have to pop this clip, which will move like the retainer back like a millimeter, because there's a line, a marking on the board to say how far it should go. And you just take off the battery connector, and then you work on it, right? So
Yeah.
you disconnect the battery, you'd hit the power button to realistically discharge anything, or it would, you'd use any residual, and then you get to work. So I go to pop the battery clip, and there is nothing holding this metal pin in place other than friction, it seems. And so the metal pin is literally, just imagine a U-shaped pin that hooks over the top. So two metal prongs go into a plastic slide that holds the battery tab down. It's nothing. It's nothing holding it in. It's not curved at the ends or anything. So just got to pop the clip, and the clip literally pings out of the holes holding the connector in place, and it flies onto the board.
Oh no!
Onto a section where
oh no!
And it fucking sparks.
Oh.
So I didn't even get the chance to discharge the laptop. It did it itself. And it fried the power section of the board, and now the laptop is a brick. Yeah. And there'll be loads of people going, oh yeah, but you should have discharged it, blah blah blah. Battery this, disconnect that. So yeah, that was the first step. Like there was no, you couldn't, you had to move this pin to disconnect the battery. And
is the battery like fixed inside? Then you can't remove it. It's built into the laptop, so you can't remove it.
Well, you can remove it, but you'd still have to remove that clip to disconnect it from the board.
What I mean is you have to open it up to remove the battery. You can't just pop the battery out.
No. You have to open it up. You have to open it up. The gone are the days when you can just take a battery off the back of a laptop.
Yeah. See,
it's maxed out.
My last laptop was about 4 years old. Battery's still removable on it. So
sure. Yeah, that's not really a thing anymore. Got to make these things really thin. Unless it's like a proper business laptop, but I think even in some cases, like I'm thinking of like Lenovo business laptops and that, they still have an internal battery running on them too. So you don't generally get a battery that you can just unclip from the back of the machine. You have to open up the casing, which is also stupid because in a lot of cases laptops are plastic, and then you end up breaking clips around the outside of the casing to get inside them. But yeah, so to actually get inside it, or to get the battery off, you had to open it up to begin with. But I'm surprised
though that the board wasn't, unless it hit something exposed. I'm surprised because all those boards these days are usually lacquered to protect against that sort of thing.
No. Components are easy. You can just touch them. If you want to, you could lick every component on those boards.
Well, yes.
So, you're not going to... If there's a cluster of caps and resistors, you're not going to...
Is that what hit was? That what hit was? It wasn't a trace. It was actually a cap and resistor.
Oh god, yeah. No, mate. There's barely any empty space on those boards at all. I've opened up I've opened up 3 more laptops since Wednesday, and every single one of them is full to the brim of surface mount components. There is no space you could possibly drop a screw or a pin or whatever without touching some kind of components. In fact, I spoke to a mate a couple of days later, and he said, yeah, when he opened up his new laptop, he had the same issue. Like, he unscrewed something, and the screw fell off of his driver, landed on a small cluster of components. He said, but there was nowhere else for it to fall.
Yeah.
Like, if it was going to fall, it was from the moment you unscrewed it, you had maybe a couple of, like, a couple mil on each side before it touched components.
Yeah.
So
let's be honest, they don't intend these things to be serviceable, do they?
Not really.
They basically expect you to have it and not touch it.
Yeah.
And replace it in a couple of years when the battery dies.
Yeah.
So nothing is... Because if you wanted it serviceable, you'd have some sort of like kill switch in it to switch off the connection to prevent that happening.
Yeah.
Or it would use a plastic connector, just like the old-fashioned, like on a motherboard, plastic Molex connectors that just unplug.
Yeah.
So there's no metal around.
As I say, I've looked into 3 more laptops since, and they literally just get a plastic spudger or guitar pick and just pull the cable towards the battery, and it disconnects. No clips, no fucking nothing. Just friction fit, pull, done. Nothing. Right? No problems. But this nearly $2,000 laptop, metal clip. What the fuck is a metal clip doing holding in the battery connector? Right on top of the power section of the board.
I would imagine that in their design thing, so no one's going to be opening this up. The metal clip, however, will make the battery more secure, so it's on. It's not going anywhere once it's on, so it's not a problem. They don't anticipate the small minority, because let's be honest, it must be a minority of users who actually do open their laptops up and fiddle them. They don't anticipate that sort of... I think your average Joe is not opening up a laptop.
But if they sell replacement batteries...
Yeah, they probably expect you to go to a service centre or have it done prop by somebody else.
Yeah, but where are you going to find an ASUS certified repair station?
Let's be honest. Your average Joe won't replace the battery. They'll buy a new laptop.
Nearly $2,000.
But people do.
If that right, my thing, right? Because I've looked at, as I say, I've looked at 3 more laptops since. Laptop manufacturers. I know this has been a thing years prior. Okay, I have an Asus ROG Strix GL503 VM, right? Plastic. The bottom's plastic. Now, you have 2 options. You can either take the entire fucking bottom off, or there's a small panel that's maybe length of your thumb and make an L with your hand, and there's a section of the bottom casing that you can literally unscrew and unclip, and under that hard drive, RAM, anything you might need to replace, it's right there. It's right there. For the love of fuck's sake, put those on laptops. Put those on your fans too. If you need to clean your fans for any reason at any point, which probably will, right? Make them easily accessible, please. Stop making it so that we have to completely take apart and remove the bottom of the laptop. But as you say, they're not expecting most users to open these damn things up. So,
I suspect, I would imagine less than a percentage of users will open them up.
But then, what do you do with the drive failure?
Get a new one. Oh, that's I think your average Joe might go to a computer shop who might open and pull the drive out for you. But your average user ain't gonna be doing that, because the average user barely knows how Windows works. So the average user's not going to be putting a computer apart to remove a hard drive. They'll go to a shop and they'll pull it apart.
Sure.
And there's probably some fancy little gizmo tool that disconnects the battery for you. Or they just rely on blind luck to not ever ping the bit of metal off.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what I would have probably done had I realised that clip could have come out was maybe just put a bit of tape over the top, or just like got something to cover up that section of the board.
I've got which I bought a few years. I actually originally had it for fishing, but I found very useful for situations like that. It's a pair of nearly forceps, but it's got a ratchet on it, so you can put onto a clip if you want something you don't want to risk bouncing off, but you want to hold it, but you need to remove it. You can basically put it on, clip it together, and it ratchets and locks together, so it's not going anywhere. But you can still hold it. You don't rely on your own finger pressure to hold it in place.
Yeah,
they're useful. That would have solved that issue if you had something like that. That would have solved it.
I mean, it was absolutely fucking. I was devastated, mate. I felt like,
of course you were.
Such. Of course you were. I was like, this is such a rookie mistake. I was like, but I've done exactly what you're supposed to do when repairing a computer or a hard drive, or a laptop even. Just disconnect the power.
Yeah.
But then as I say, I spoke to a few other people, and they're like, oh yeah, when I opened up my laptop, I completely forgot to disconnect the battery, completely forgot to do this. And I was like, you know what? If only I'd have just took shortcuts, I'd have probably still had my laptop.
Yeah.
So... yeah.
I had a friend fry his one of the computers. It wasn't his main ECU, but one of the computers on his car. He thought, I'm just going. He's doing some electrical work, and he thought I should disconnect the battery. But it's only literally got to take me 2 minutes. Didn't bother, and he ended up grounding basically the battery straight to earth, and it fried one of the computers on his car.
Jesus, that won't be cheap to fix.
No, it wasn't cheap to fix. It wasn't like an important computer. It's like I think it was like for one of the window. Because these days, your car has to have a computer to control the electric windows.
Yeah,
everything's
computerized.
Yeah, you can't just have a switch. That doesn't work. It has to be a computer on there. It was something like that for Windows. It was something that was not a vital bit, so you could live without it. But it was still he did eventually replace it. But yeah, it's a
miserable experience when it happens.
And I've not done it to that point, but I have when I've been doing I've blown fuses in cars when I've let's get the battery and then connecting the main battery leads to attaching the chassis of a screwdriver and shorting the whole battery out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a look around to see if anyone else had done the same kind of thing, and it probably didn't help my confidence any. This lad had done the same thing on Reddit. I'm not a member of Reddit, so I couldn't comment or anything. But that was just one of these threads, and I scrolled down, and the poor bastard was trying to take the battery connector off, but he was using a pair of tweezers, and he accidentally bridged the same section with the tweezers.
Oh.
And every single person in the thread, majority of the people in this thread, were ripping the ever-loving shit out of the poor bastard. And it's like, he was just trying to do what was right. You don't work on hardware with power running through it.
Yeah.
You just don't.
No, not what it's energized.
Not something that delicate. You just don't.
No.
But they were all like, oh, this is what you get for having a fucking newbie do repairs. Now they've got a brick for a laptop. What a fucking idiot. Should never have opened it up. Oh, yeah, fuck this person. It's like, but what? So you just hot swap shit? Would you pull a hard drive whilst your laptop's turned on? But I don't know, whatever. Fuck 'em.
Subreddits can be very variable. Some people, there are somewhere you'll see somebody will particularly on the more if you go to what I call the tradesman Reddits, which where you have sort of actual tradespeople, they will get some inexperienced person who's just trying to save himself a few dollars by performing what is basically a simple repair and asking for advice, or they make a simple cock up and they're like, you should have got pro in. I mean, but I've seen people like the electricians forums say, oh, I need to like look about putting a new switch in. Get a pro in. Get a pro in. Get a pro. Like, it's a fucking switch.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Just
come
a
on.
couple
You do not
screws and
need.
a couple terminals.
Yeah, it's 2 wires, maybe 3 if it's got enough. You don't need a professional to do that. I mean, yeah, it's like, and people are like, get a pro, get a pro, get a pro in, and then you'll have somebody like one of them guys who'll make a stupid mistake. It's like, oh mate, don't worry, everybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I forgot to do this. Stupid me. Oh, I feel stupid. Oh mate, no, we've done that. What will we do? Because ultimately, everybody in any industry you've ever worked in, you will make a stupid fuck up at some point, and you'll do a day one. Taught this. Don't do this. You'll do a newbie fuck up.
Yep.
You know, whether if you're doing programming, forgetting a semicolon or something stupid like that, and not find it for 2 hours, something stupid like that's a newbie fuck up. Or you know, in your job, you'll just one day you'll just do something completely wrong, and it's
a job you've done 1,000 times before. You're comfortable doing it, and you somehow just this one time you've managed to fuck it up.
Yeah,
you got comfortable. You know, and it went wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I was beating myself up about it for fucking days. I'm still not really over it because I'm trying to find a company that will actually do the board level repair. Because again, that's as I've gotten older, my hands have started to get pretty bad. My dexterity is nowhere near what it used to be, and loads of people say, "Well, you're not that old." I have some issues that have made it worse. And I just honestly felt like I was past it. I was like, I'm done, dude. Like there used to be years ago, I could do these kinds of repairs with my fucking eyes closed.
Yeah.
You know, soldering jobs, no problem, wiring and that. And it's like, but these days I'm struggling to hold a fucking screwdriver. Like, this is ridiculous. And it was an expensive laptop. You know, I was very thankful to have it. And then a simple ass job, and I completely fucked it. Knowing full well, actually, that in like a week's time, I'd have to do the same kind of job twice more on other people's laptops.
Yeah. And it shocks me that there's no protections built into these things to take into account this. I mean, why are there no fuses in it? To protect against shorts. You can put wiring in to protect against shorts. Why is there nothing in there to solve this problem? Why? I mean, it would have really killed to have an isolator, some sort of small isolator micro switch. Because we're not talking high current.
Just like literally just flick, say, kill this section of the board.
Yeah.
Isolate this section of the board. Press button. Discharge everything.
Yeah, a little double pole isolator switch that you slide one way or the other to shut the battery off.
Yep.
They're cheap. They're nothing. And that could have, because we're not talking high current here.
Nope.
That would have been fine. And that would have made it very easy. Or some little like burnable fuse that if it goes, you just desolder and resolder it. But like I say, they're all surface mount components these days. They're nightmare to resolder yourself.
Oh mate, that's a hell of a cluster, right? You'd have to have whoever does that repair would have to have very steady hands. I would not even dare going near it with heat.
Yeah, and presumably it's it's obviously being a laptop. It's all going to be on one board. Yep. So at that point, you can't even like replace the board.
Nope.
Because at that point, by the time you're replacing the board, you must buy a new laptop.
Yeah, well, that was it. We did look. My family looked actually, and they were like, "Oh, well, it's £500." I was like, "I'm not paying £500 for a new board." Just no.
Yeah. Well, the board is the laptop, isn't it? So that's where the
pretty much, because
up,
like the GPU soldered to the board, the processors soldered to the board, half of the RAM is soldered to the board. You know, as you say, they're not really designed for people to get into these days.
No, I mean it's just advanced. I mean, let's face it, this happened, over 15, 20 years ago with mobile phones.
Yeah.
Mobile phones, it used to be back in the day, mobile phones, batteries would come out separate. Nowadays, most phones, batteries internal. You can change them yourself, but you basically, realistically, unless you got... I mean, I replaced the screen on my iPhone... Was it my iPhone 4 I broke the screen on? I think it was. I replaced the screen, and that was a fiddly old job, because it's these tiny little ribbon cables that, like... you need tiny hands. I had to get my sister to do it because she's got smaller hands than me to plug the cables on. They're so delicate to touch.
Yep.
I think,
And
but
some
yeah,
of them are in ZIF connectors as well, aren't they? I fucking hate
Yeah.
those. The tiny little connectors that end up terminating in right angles on a ZIF. Oh, fuck off.
And it's like these aren't designed to be pulled apart and put back together again.
No. Well, it's even worse now, isn't it? If you were to work on an iPhone, because they've got serial numbers attached to the boards and the screens are mated together now, aren't they?
Yeah. And it's quite probable as well, because of the waterproofing, it's quite possible you'll compromise and damage the waterproof if you put them apart as well.
Yep.
So basically, if I need my iPhone repair, I need to fly to China and find a small child who built it originally, and I'll get him to do the repair.
Yeah. I know why they do it. But it fucking infuriates me. Because I just remember way back in the day when we were younger, if you bought a laptop, you could easily get hold of parts, you could easily open it up. You could easily do repairs, but now we want faster, smaller, thinner. They obviously want to ensure that you buy a new one at some point. So it's got, a built-in shelf life. And it's sad.
I also think that's mainly driven though by the consumer culture that people tend to replace their stuff. The people who they want to replace stuff every couple of years, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's unobservable because the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's why there's no really been a massive pushback against it because it doesn't matter.
I mean, it was a beautiful laptop. Really was. An Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 2021. Absolutely gorgeous laptop. Screen was fantastic. Speakers were nice on it. Connectivity was shit, but then it was like Ultrabook grade. Decent, decent keyboards. The materials on it were nice. But as you say, man, like, it probably, hardware wise, probably wouldn't have lasted more than like 2 years, which is sad considering, some laptops you'd have that were 5+ years old. I've got laptops here from 2012 that still work great. Laptops, by the way, that I've opened up and like hooked clips up to the BIOS, to the chips on the board and flashed them. Used to be able to do that, no problem. But apparently now I can't change batteries,
But let's be honest. I mean, it's just the march towards. I mean, let's face it. Look at cars again. You can't do anything to an engine these days without a computer.
No, you're right.
20 years ago, or not, probably more like 30 or 40 years ago, it was all mechanical. You could tweak it, fiddle with it, redo it, and dismantle parts of it. Now, every engine, you basically need a laptop.
Yep.
And not just that, you need proprietary software to do it as well.
Yep.
There's like my friend had this issue of his Land Rover that had an error code on it, but it was not a generic error code. So the only place people read is unless you have the right proper Land Rover software. And I say Land Rover, but it actually applies to a lot of car companies. You can't read those error codes if you've got the actual proper software, and in some cases, hardware. You have to buy an actual device from them, which will then tell you to interact with it properly. And there's like these sort of like $4 or $5 grand. So trying to find somebody who's got one, because obviously your average garage can't have one for every single manufacturer.
No, of course not.
So you'll either go back to the dealer or you're finding a specialist garage who's got I'm only going to service these vehicles. I've got it so I can read it. And it's just a nightmare getting anything serviced or replaced.
Yeah.
So I feel for you, and I really feel for you. I mean, I've fucked up hardware as well and done similar things in the past, so I know that's all that oh no moment you have when you see it, and you can almost see it happening in slow motion, and you go, oh no.
Well, that was it. I looked at it and I was trying to disconnect the like as I said, the clip, and I was like, you know what, I could just take a shortcut here and just put the drive straight in, no problem. No,
and you probably got away with that. You probably would have got away with that.
That's what I thought. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to disconnect the battery. I'm going to do it right. and I'm trying to wiggle the battery terminal loose. I'm like, no, the clip's got to go. Clip's got to go. Went to ping the clip, and like I said, it just came straight the fuck out. The whole fucking thing, like probably 2 centimeters worth of pin, just whick, straight out. I was like, wow, that's never happened before. Straight on the board, tiny spark, and I was like, no, ignorance is bliss. We'll do the repair, put it all back together. With my shaky hands, managed to put the clip back into the thing.
It's just a capacitor discharge. It's just a capacitor discharge. It's fine. It's fine.
And it was brown bread. I was absolutely devastated.
And that's a silly thing. The component that's gone is probably worth like pennies.
Yeah, for sure. That's what one of my mates said. He said, it's really sad that a nearly £2,000 laptop has been killed by maybe a few pence worth of components, if that.
Yeah.
A few pence of components and a Chinese fucking child, and
and you have a laptop.
Yeah, it's done. I have found a few places that might repair it, but I don't know as yet. I'd like to have it repaired more than anything at this point, but
yeah, I mean, I know it's a bit hands. Are you still have to go in there with like a multimeter and perhaps see if you can test the components yourself and try and work out at least which one it is?
I will send you a picture later. I mean, if I were to probe with a meter, I'd probably end up popping more.
Right.
Yeah, they're incredibly small, and with my shaky hands, I just don't even think it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
Like we're talking hair fine components.
Yeah, again, surface mount. I hate surface mount components because they're killing off another hobby industry actually, because you can't even dismount. Because the older through components you could desolder, resolder, so you could upgrade and fiddle with. But surface mount, you can't. It's possible. I've seen people do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's really, so you need a really steady hand, or you need like sort of. I've seen people like do it with like. I've seen people do it with like it looks like a 3D printer type thing that basically they can like tell it to go where to go and it'll just do the connection for you. But I mean that's a pretty specialist bit of kit. No average Joe's carrying that around. It's a real. And that's killing off like electronic hobbyists because they can't like fiddle with like gizmos and stuff anymore because it's all surface mounts. They can't do anything with it anymore. It's a real shame. I really feel for you because it's literally a fraction of a second mistake.
Yeah,
fraction of a second.
I mean, had it have been any other material other than a metal clip, it'd probably been fine.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But I say if it had been, let's say if they use plastic, these are probably even need metal. You don't probably need it because they thought, well, put it to make it really secure so it won't come out. And in doing so, I've made a vulnerability.
Yeah. Like I say, the other 3 laptops that I've worked on was just a friction fit. Just pull it.
That's all you need. No laptop. If any sort of like, where are these planes? Is this laptop going to Mars?
Yeah, that's it.
Where does it need to have that much robustness in it?
Did they need to make it feel premium by adding in an extra step to take the battery out?
Yeah. Which again, average user ain't doing.
No.
So the premiumness is hidden away inside.
Just a sad time.
So well, I hope you can find somebody who potentially can fix it for you.
Me too.
And I hope you do. I hope you do, and you can rise it from the grave.
Like I say, it was a gorgeous laptop. Just that. I mean, that really hit my confidence. Not gonna lie, my confidence went clean through the floor.
I get that because I totally get that because it would knock you back, but you do far more fiddling around than I do, so and you're show a lot more confident than I am, so you shouldn't knock your confidence on that. You're not stupid. You know what you're doing. It's just one of those silly little errors that everybody makes.
Just give me 1 second, dude. I just want to quickly see if I can. I'm going to try, and I don't know if I can. Okay, apparently, sadly, I don't have your number on my iPad. I was going to send you a video clip of it, but I'll send you one after the podcast.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see the exact part of the board that it hit.
Fair enough.
But yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Did you let the blue smoke out? Did the blue smoke come out? Or was it just
Oh
a
yeah,
spark?
it was just a spark, but as the components were too small to even hold the magic smoke. So
did you not even get a whiff?
no.
No.
If I did, I'd have been happy, but I didn't. But I've since done 3 more laptops, and they went fine. I think the worst thing to happen on those were small plastic clips. But then with plastic clips on laptops, it's not a case of if you break one, it's when you break one. Because they're just little plastic clips.
They're cheap, rigid plastic that flexes like 3 times and snaps.
That's it. Yep. You've maybe got about 1 millimeter of play, and you don't know
Yeah,
where any of them are.
It's like, won't release, release, broken!
Gone.
Yeah. It's like, shit. And that's the bit you're going to have to, it's okay, you can't place that bit. Yeah, now you've done that, well, you can't put it back together.
Yeah, game over, man.
Yeah. It's like, shit, get the super glue.
So, yeah. So I've not really had a huge amount of time to do anything since. I did, however, play a VR chat horror game with Zaber that we tried to get you in.
I was stock taking. I was knee deep in counting stock.
Oh, brutal. We didn't finish it, we just dabbled in it, but it's I think it's called The Devouring, which is a VR chat escape room style thing. And this is like one of the first times I've been in VR in ages, other than when we did Phasmophobia for the Halloween game night. And the idea is that so the game starts, you log into the room, and you're at a petrol station. And as you walk across the forecourt towards your car, you get a text message from your mate saying, I hope you're having a good time, hope everyone's got together, good stuff, right? You'll get in your car, and as soon as everyone sits down in the car, it says, hey, yo, the game's about to start. So you get in the car, you start driving down this road, it's pitch black, and all of a sudden there's something in the middle of the road, and your car gets fucked up, and the next thing you know, you wake up in a mansion. And you're told, like, stay in the room, someone will come and get you. You're pretty fucked up. Your gear's been screwed. There'll be a meal. And obviously you leave the room and you start getting like chased by like this ghost around the thing. Imagine like Aliens
Isolation?
That's the kiddie where you're trying to escape the xenomorph. That kind of groove, or like Amnesia, where you're kind of sneaking around and you're trying not to freak the fuck out, and that kind of thing, while solving little puzzles to try and get out of this mansion thing. Pretty neat. We need to get you into it.
I came back this next day. I got home because basically I was there till God midnight on Monday. Got back home next day. Got home, went straight to bed. Got up again because I was in basically at 6:30 the next day to carry on. Got home that evening. Went in there and looked at it. Thought, oh, that's really cool. I'm sure I missed it because I was like, oh well. Yeah. So I would like to give it a go.
We solved we got out of the first couple rooms, and I think we solved like the first main puzzle.
So it's a bit like an escape room type thing.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I don't really want to explain a huge amount about it, but like you solve little puzzles per room to navigate into the next rooms, whilst then kind of digging around drawers and moving objects to try and find other things to use as keys for other puzzles. And as you interact with the world, you expand more of the mansion, and it's neat. It's fun. It seemed fun. Me and Zaber had quite a laugh, just running around, stealthing around this thing, like literally just physically peering around corners and stuff. And
oh mate, I know. I do find VR stealth quite involving.
We got dead a lot. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But like at some points, I was like, right, I'll run at it so it kills me, and then you run the other way, grab the bits. Because every time you die, you just get reset into the bedroom that you started in. But like, you'd know every time we died because there's like a dingy bell thing in the bedroom, and if you ring it, you can hear it all across the mansion. And I was like, look, every time we fucking die, just ring the bell, just so we know that we're back where we are, so we can kind of navigate back towards the other person. Fucking, that was just like ding, ding. Fucking ding. So like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, did it get you?
So death is really cheap in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. Other times though, right, like Zaber got caught and I was stood right next to Zaber and it just fucking leave me alone. I was like, run up the stairs! And I just like, what the fuck is he doing? He's doing some cardio. Just leave him.
Shall we bump that? Perhaps we should bump that to the top of the list. I know we're going to do Left 4 Dead after Demi. Perhaps we should bump that to the top of the list.
Yeah, it can do. I mean, it'll only take us an evening. It's only like, between like 2 and 4 hours.
Yeah, well, let's bump to the top of the list. We'll do that before Left 4 Dead as a little interlude.
There's quite a lot of stuff like that in VR chat. Zaber was actually quite impressed by it. It was like he'd dismissed VR chat. He was like, I just thought it was a bunch of childish shit. He said, but this was actually really quite fun. He said we might have to jump into VR chat a bit more often. I was like, yeah, there's loads of stuff in VR chat that you can do. So I think in a lot of cases, rather than fucking around trying to find new VR games as well, maybe have a bit of an explorer of a few VR worlds. Like, don't even go into the public worlds if we don't want to. Just like, we'll get together as a group and then we'll open up portals to private instances of worlds and just have a look about.
Yeah, I'll give that a go. I did start setting up a VR chat account, but I never got around to finishing setting up the VR chat account.
You started, but you didn't finish.
Oh, it's like, I need to link to Steam. Oh, fuck.
Well, you don't have to, because if you just log in with your Steam account, it just means that you don't gain any trust in VR chat. So certain people will hide all avatars and block audio from people who aren't of trusted level. So people who have actually used the app for a while. As I say, you don't actually increase level unless you have a vrchat.com account. So you could just use your Oculus account or your Steam account, but just you will be locked out from talking to certain people, which just it's not really that big of a deal.
No.
But whatever.
Oh, okay then.
So other than my disaster piece, what have you been up to, Ram?
I have played this last couple of weeks. Necromunda Hired a Gun.
Fucking hell, mate! I bought that for Zaber the other week. I bought him a copy, and then the key stopped working.
Oh,
yeah, it was weird. Because I sent him the key, and he didn't redeem it for like 2 weeks, and then I wouldn't let him redeem the key.
Oh,
so
that's annoying.
How is it?
So it's fun. It's a Necromunda. It's a Warhammer 40k first-person shooter. Necromunda is a setting that's been 40k for a long time. There's actually a tabletop game called Necromunda, which was a skirmish game, a bit like Mordheim for Warhammer. Necromunda was like the one for 40k.
Yeah.
So tabletop, and you picked like a faction, and Necromunda is a hive city, so a metropolis that's got billions of people living in this like one big massive city, and raises right in the sky. It's like a humongous skyscraper. You've got like the spires where all the rich people live, and then you've got the under-hive, which is where all the poor people live. And the game is set, and so, well, there's also like sort of the famous character. And there's Carl Jericho, who's like one sort of, there was a sort of book series with him as the main character, and he's like this bounty hunter in Necromunda. And he turns up as like your contact in Necromunda Hired Gun. And you are a bounty hunter in the Underhive. And I'll be honest, there is a story. I'll be honest with you, the story is so basic, I actually can't remember what it was about. So
Right.
basically, it's just you're on a mission, and it all goes as usual. You start your first mission with a couple of friends, and it all goes horribly wrong, and you get sort of confronted by this guy who's got like he sort of like stealths in, and he's got his power sword, and he goes off, and someone's dead, and all of a sudden there's this bounty placed on this person called, she called the Shadow, I think something like that. Something like that. It's some name like that. Anyway, bounty's placed on her head, and your game is basically tracking her down to find her and kill her and get the bounty. And that's sort of like storyline bit. What I like about it is that it's got the scale right for 40k and for Hive Seas. Everything is just massive and over the top. So like your early levels, like you're in a foundry, and there's just these humongous sort of urns, just pouring molten metal and so forth. Or there's a level you want to train, and this train's the size of like a container ship. Literally, like every sort of like each carriage is like humongously wide. It's like it's like bigger than an airplane. It's like it's size of this massive container ship, and you're on it, and you're sort of working your way from one end to the other. So you get the scale, but they get the atmosphere really quick, right? I say it's a first-person shooter. It's a very fast-paced first-person shooter. Very much, it feels more like it's definitely more sort of like aimed for like sort of the old school Quake and real Doom style of just go running gun, shoot, keep going.
My kind of thing.
You're definitely your kind of thing. I'm not very good at those. It took me a while to get into the swing of those games, so I'm not very good at those style games. Because I'm not used to that sort of fast gunplay. So I struggled quite early on, but I got sort of into the swing of it sort of fairly quickly. And a lot of what the game's based on is encourage you to keep going, and keep sort of fighting, really keeps you driving you forwards, because you're augmented, not augmented, you've got bionics. I'm telling you what SX equipment, but you've got bionics, and 40k bionics, you can upgrade them. They basically give you more powers, and a couple of powers. There's one power which is like every time you damage an enemy, you'll get some health back.
Right.
But it's dependent on how close you are. The closer you are to them, the more health you'll get back. So very much encouraged. So basically, when you're fighting like bosses and stuff,
get up in their face.
Down in the face. But most bosses calling loads of swarms of enemies around you. They're a resource. They're your health packs.
Sure.
They're keeping you going because you can't really, if you stand still and try and hang back too much, you will die because you just will take hits, but you're not getting anything back. So you have to really get right in there and run around and shoot and murder everybody as quick as you can, but just keep going. If you keep going, you keep killing people, you will carry on. You'll survive a surprising long time.
Kind of like 40k Space Marine and Doom 2016 with the glory kills.
Yes.
As long as you kept on wailing on enemies, eventually you could get health back just by being ultra violent.
Yeah. So the game definitely, there is an augment that basically as you get low in health, you get more resistant. And I will say, I did find that the sort of like the way you take damage, like when you've got full health, you should take damage really quickly. But as you get lower health down, it seems to really ease off, so you don't take anywhere near as much damage.
Yeah,
and because I spend an awful lot of time in like the bottom quarter of the health bar.
Sure.
Just keep going. You have got a shield as well. The shield doesn't regenerate. There's no sort of generating health or generating shields. You can only get them by picking up like these power canisters or health in the face of killing everybody. So it does sort of encourage you to you can't like hide somewhere, get your health back, and carry on. You just need to just keep going, going, going.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. It was refreshing actually. It's changed the pace because I'm so used to games now having regenerating health. I'm so used to it. I sort of like had to sort of like almost temporarily rewire my brain
Yeah.
of how to play the game.
I had that with Doom and Doom Eternal. It was so weird to not just be able to stand there and get your health back, or when you played COD when COD started making you use like health packs, or when I went back and played, was it Wolfenstein New Order? I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, hang on, there's health here and it doesn't all regenerate. What's going on?
Yeah. It takes a while. You have got med packs, which you can buy before mission. You can't. At least I've never found one on a mission. So you can only have 3.
Right.
And so once you've used them up, they're gone. That's it. You also have these things called stims. Now, stims are basically your extra lives. So as soon as you die, the stim will be a stand. You'll be back at full health, full shields, and off you go again. Stims you can buy in game, when I say in game, as in level. You can't buy them out. So there's like these all floating servo skulls where you can go up to, and they'll basically just like your checkpoint, and it'll save when you go up to one. But you can buy stims. They're very expensive. Like in level, they're like 3,123 credits.
Yeah.
Whereas our level, they're like 300. But you can buy them if you need to. I had a few. There was like one boss battle fairly early on where I went through all my stims and all my health packs, and I was like really on the edge before I finally killed the boss. Because he kept bouncing around and jumping around. I was trying to get gun bits on him, and it was a nightmare. Enemy types are quite fun. The enemies are quite varied. So you've got enemies who'll carry shields, as in physical shields, which you can't shoot for easily. You have to sort of like go for the legs or go for the head if you're careful.
Mm-hmm.
You've got enemies they've got like jump packs and will jump around and jump up to you and come up to you. And then all the enemies will try and close on you really quickly. Some enemies will have shields themselves. You have to displace the shields where you can actually take them out. There are like dogs that also attacks you. Some are just heavily armored and just take a bullet sponges. There's real variety of enemies in it, so you'll get all types thrown at you like in a short space of time. Because most levels where you go in, there's other gang warfare. Because you've got the enemies represent like different games. You've got the Orlocks, the Eshin, nothing to do with Warhammer Eshin. You've got I can't remember the ones. It's Orlocks, Eshin, and Goliath. So Goliath like all the genetically engineered like big brutish guys. They all like sort of Hulk out. We've got lots of Ogryns type guys. They carry heavy machine guns. Eshin tend to be like plasma weapons. They tend to be sort of like they tend to be sort of like a bit more fast paced. And you've got like sort of the Orlocks who are a little more sort of like they tend to be like more like armor and stuff. And they use their mastiffs a lot. You'll get attacked by mastiffs. But often in most levels, 2 of the gangs will be fighting each other, and you'll come amongst them. So you're carrying 2 different types of enemies at once.
Yeah,
which is fun because you have to sort of constantly switch out and change. You can also do. I had an augment which basically allowed me to slow time down for everybody else. Basically, it's basically makes you move really quickly, and so you could sort of slow time down. And that max level that lasts like 16 seconds, which doesn't sound a lot, but actually in level that's a huge length of time. And using that and running around and sort of like murdering everybody. There's like a strength mod. Where strength bionic, where you literally get a super speed, you pull out a knife and you just run around, just murder everybody, you just touch them with a knife and they're dead. So you just like go around like this sort of like madman killing everything. It is gunplay wise, it's really fun. The enemies I wouldn't say the enemies are necessarily smart, but they will try and close you, they will try and sort of cut you off, they will try and get round you. And most levels the cover is important, but generally speaking, most levels you're not. There's a place where you can hold up somewhere and sort of like filter the enemies down a passageway and take him out. You have everywhere you'll be attacked from all sides. You can't. It constantly says you need to just keep going. You need to keep driving forward.
Sure.
You also have to help you along the way, and this all ties into they have got a good sense of humor. So you have got a mastiff of your own who you can summon. And I don't know where he lives, but he's like sort of like around. And then when you summon him, he will, or she will, I don't know if boy or girl. Instantly you summon him by getting out the squeaky toy and squeaking the squeaky toy.
Oh.
And the Mastiff will appear. And he'll go around, he'll just attack enemies for you. Also, like, highlight enemies for you. You can upgrade him. But he can have bionics as well. So you can upgrade him as well. And you can, like metal jaws on. As you do that, he's, like, model changes. So he goes from, like, it starts off as a normal-looking Mastiff. If you upgrade him fully, he's got, like, sort of, like, metal jaws. His teeth all exposed, like, bionic eyes. He's got metal front legs. It's quite horrific, actually, what you can do to your Mastiff. But he's a good boy, and he's still quite happy. And he's still happy to run around. Oh yeah, but the way he, when you walk into your mission, he sort of looks up at you, and he's got a happy look on his face as he looks at you. I mean, that could be the bionics speaking, but
yeah,
yeah, but he's cool. He's all right. He still comes like Corpse Twiggy's toys, so he mustn't be too unhappy. And watching him sort of rip people apart, and you can like do things to reduce like his cool. So basically, when as soon as you bring him in, he's on a timer, basically. And once the timer expires, he then goes into a cooldown before you can call him again. He has health as well, so if he gets killed before that timer expires, then you have to wait for the cooldown for you to call him back. But he's good in a pinch. He's good to call them in, the Mastiff in, when there's lots of people against you, call him in, just helps ease off the burden. And he will go for any enemy types. The other sort of whom I liked is, so in 40k, you have, like, humanoid computers, like they're like sort of like either like criminals have been sort of like lobotomied, or they're like vat-grown clones are called servitors. And you often find them like tied up to machines and stuff. They'll control machinery and stuff. And you go up to them, and if you want to get them to do something, it says override. And you go to override. The way you override them is by punching them repeatedly and ordering them to open the door for you.
Sounds like a pretty good override sequence.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
It makes me think of there's an SKCD comic where there's a guy. It's like what movies think should happen. It's like, oh, this laptop has got all the codes on it, but it's been encrypted by 224-bit encryption. Damn, our plan is foiled. Then it says, what happens in reality? Here's a $2 wrench. Beat the program until he gives us the key code. Yeah, so it feels a bit like that. Just beat him up. The missions themselves are pretty fun. Some are really surprisingly short. But they all got some sort of nice, they all have a bit of a sort of twist to them and so forth, and quite neat and nice. There is one mission, and this is a bit of a complaint I have about this. This is a spoiler for the game a little bit.
Have you finished it? That question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long?
Finished all the way through. It took me about 14 hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But from what I look online, but I did side missions as well. But if you go I'll get to side missions in a second. But if you go just for the main missions, you could probably get through in about 8.
Okay.
So I did about 2.
What was your complaint then, man?
Right. So there's this mission where you go into a place called the Dark, and it's like this sort of business, and you're told like strange things are going down there. And pretty quickly, when you get down there, it's all like you'll find sort of other gang members. You'll take a few gang members out, and you'll get some sort of strange people down there. And then all of a sudden, out pops a gene stealer, and gene stealers are basically the forward force of Tyranids. Now, in the lore, and in a lot of board games, gene stealers are portrayed as these creatures that are like they're very quick. They've got very sharp talons. They kill Space Marine Terminators, which are like, of your elite armies, they are like the elite of the elite troops. Yep. They wear like super heavy armor. You come across them and you'll be mowing them down by the dozen.
Sure.
Your guy, you've got some bionics. You're not a trained soldier. Yes, you've got a ladder, so you may have got a hold of a bolter at this point. But you should not be mowing these guys. The gene stealer should have been a boss for the mission. That's what
your beef is lore then.
My beef is the game does not match the law in respect. It's not respectful of the law in that respect. That everything about these guys are super, super tough. It'd be like if a Space Marine turned up and I shot him in the head and he's instantly shot him in the head and my last pistol killed him instantly. It just didn't mash up very well. So if there had been a boss fight, that would have been cool. That would have been fine. I could believe that all would have felt all right. But And these became they as an enemy type they were just all their main features. They're very quick, so they're quicker than you can run. So they can close up to you. And it's like so your only option is to fight back. But when you're just mowing them down so quickly, it's like this isn't right. This is not how I should be fighting Gene Stealers. It's a bit like how nowadays as animals seem to get weaker and weaker every film.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that. I feel they sort of lost the edge. That's a lore complaint rather than a gameplay complaint. I mean, this game apparently was quite broken when it came out. A lot of the reviews at the time were that it's very broken. They seem to have fixed. I don't have any major issues. I had one time where I managed to, because you have a grappling hook, you can climb things. I was trying to climb up something back to where I come, and I managed to like clip through and get behind some objects and got stuck there. But because also the way the grappling hook logic works is that if you can hit it and grab it, you'll just go there. I was able to eventually, with a bit of fiddling, was able to grapple through the gap again and pull myself back out.
Right.
So that was a mile of it. But then, let's face it, most games, you try hard enough, you'll get stuck somewhere.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. If you need more money to do your missions and upgrade you upgrade bionics, and they get quite expensive fairly quickly. Top level bionic. So basically, how the bionics work is you have for every sort of part of your body, like your head, your torso, whatever, your cerebral, so forth. You have like one bionic that controls like the overall level, and then you have like sub ones that basically you can increase level of, but they can't go higher than the sort of like top level one.
Right.
So you have to upgrade the top level one first to like level 3. Then everything else can get up to level 3, but they can't go to level 4 to upgrade that one to top one to level 4. So that could put a limit on. And the top one does help you as well. But they get expensive. A top level bionic is about 120 credits. To put that into perspective, it's and this is sort of, again, possibly a slight sort of like game design flaw. The big person you're hunting, the big person you're hunting has got a bounty of 250,000 credits, and that sort of advertises a life-changing bounty. It's like, dude, that would only buy me 2 top-level bionics.
Sure.
And by the time I got to them, I'd upgrade everything. But if you need more money, so where you get money is, if you shoot, you get money basically just by killing people, you get money. You can also like pull in your guns like lucky charms that'll basically, if you get a crit chance, they'll increase you get like extra money for killing them and so forth.
I'm clearly in the wrong business.
Yeah. Well, you're bounty hunters, because the idea is these all got bounties on them, so you're taking the bounty and you kill all these hundreds of people. But there's like, after you complete a level, there'll be like a bounty board, and you can select, there's like, basically the game will generate missions in each of these areas and the levels, and it's not the whole levels, like a sort of like a chopped down part level, like the train bit, for example, just like the front part of the train, not the whole train. Or like there's another one which is basically the level, it's like the sort of boss arena is the only sort of part you can access. And these bounties basically will have a random time mission, and you'll just go and you pick one, and it'll be for a certain amount of money. You'll be basically and there'll be like different factions who are requesting you do these bounties and so forth. And again, slightly lore broken. You're in a place, and Necromunda is, despite the fact that it's an imperial place. Everybody there is God-fearing. They also say, "Oh, praise the Emperor" and all this sort of stuff, right? You can accept missions on the bounty board. On the public bounty board, you can accept missions from the Gene Stealer cults and Chaos Worshippers.
No.
Yeah. So I apparently did at some point, because to be honest, I looked for the time missions. So to be honest, this is probably the weakest part of the game for me. The missions generated are all pretty darn, because anytime you have a game which has to do game generated missions, they all tend to be a little bit basic.
Bit shit.
Yeah.
Bit samey with a few different cut of paint.
Yeah, so the one I tend to use a lot of was called Decapitation mission, which is where you have to kill a certain... Not quite that like that, but you have to kill, like, the idea is like, we need to make our enemies less sort of like, effective. We just, by killing them, by taking out all the high level lieutenants, well, basically, if we do that, then they'll so it's decapitation in a metaphorical sense. Yeah, decapitate their armies. I tend to find that one, because that was the one I found that you well, frankly, it was it was the quickest and easiest one to do because it's not particularly that fun. And if you do on the train, earlier I said that there aren't many places where you can like get people to like sort of like a firing stream where they'll come at you and they can't really do anything. The train mission, like literally after you're at the first sort of room area, there's like a really long corridor to the next arena. If you stand at one end of that corridor with what I had a long lance, which is basically a sniper rifle, because it's me, of course I had a sniper rifle. I could stand at one end, and the enemies would come at the other end. They'd run down the corridor. They wouldn't start firing me until about halfway down. Yeah, I was just go. So I just sit down at the end of the corridor, and basically shoot them constantly. And by doing that, I could complete a mission. So my record was 1 minute 45 seconds. Okay, it was when I wanted to make money quick. That was the cheapest and quickest way to do it. I think the game took longer to load the mission than I spent in it. To be honest.
Fantastic.
There's this one called what was it called? Kill the Lead or something. Basically, it's exactly the same as the decapitation mission, except once you kill enough lieutenants, like the big boss comes out, and you have to kill him. Other than that, it's identical.
Right.
You know, the lieutenants will be randomly generated NPCs, but the big bosses will actually have a marker over his head and so forth to say, kill this guy. There's one we have to like destroy like ammo crates. There's one we have to like get some fans to put like poison capsules in front of the fans to poison their enemies. There's one you can destroy things. The only one I had trouble with there's one called Capture, is it called Capture? I think something like that. Basically, you have like control points you have to capture, and sort of like a bit like sort of Battlefield style, where you have to the only way to capture is by standing there and being there, and you'll little progress mark up, and you'll capture them. Luckily, they can't be uncaptured. Once you capture them, you've captured them. That really doesn't work in the game's fair because it relies on you standing still in one place.
You say it's heavy movement focus.
Yeah, and you are and enemies will come at you in 3 or 4 different directions. That is a real slog to do,
right?
Because it's completely against how the game is designed to be played. I found that a real nightmare. I mean, I did a couple. I was like, "Fuck, am I doing those ones again?" They're just such a nightmare to do.
Sure, no, I get that groove.
Yeah. So the side missions I found. So in the end, I just did the quickest. I tended to do the quickest side mission I could just to get the money in to upgrade my augments and then my bionics. Sorry, because they weren't particularly interesting. That was sort of the weakest part of the game, and I do object to their. If you go on the website, they say, "Oh yes, you can pick your bounty." Bullshit. You can't pick your bounty. They say it. You pick your bounty and off you go. No, there's no bounty picking this. If that's what they clear pick your bounty, that's just bullshit because you can't.
Oh.
I thought it was going to be a bit more. I thought the game was going to be a bit more open, like you had like sort of go after specific people, but it's not. It's a very linear story. The levels themselves are pretty linear. You can't really get lost. There's one level which was a nightmare to find my way around. I spent ages trying to work out how to get to the other side. There's like you're like this in this like cargo depot, and there's like cargo ships flying about to your one side, and then you need to be the other side. That took me ages to figure out how to get to the other side. Absolutely ages. I was actually googling how the fuck do I get to the other side of this place, and no one was mentioning it. And there's a puzzle later on which everybody was having problems with, which I got straight away. But this bit, no one was mentioning. It's like I must just be an idiot because no one else has got problems doing this. It must be me. But overall, I actually thought it was really fun. It's a nice if you like sort of fast-paced gun gameplay, I personally found it quite fun. I like the fact they got the atmosphere really spot on for 40k.
Mm-hmm.
They got the atmosphere nice. As apart from the issue with the G-Steers, I can't sort of like I can't knock it too much down for that realistically. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's like Game of the Year material, like even sort of AAA sort of style material, but it was a fun, enjoyable experience. And I said I did it over the course of like literally about sort of like 4 or 5 days. I played through the whole thing.
Yeah,
which is quite quick for me actually.
I mean, I was going. It's probably worth picking up. To be fair, I mean, I remember I got it because it had. I think it's got both. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's got AMD's FSR and DLSS in it, and people were using that to check between the two to say which one was the better upscaling technology. That, and you can get the game for like $5 or less.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite cheap. It only came out last year as well. Oh, top tip. This is a tip for anybody who has issues. If you want to change resolution, by default, I think I'll put this down to a bug. If you go into the options menu, you can't change resolution. Unless there's a drop down menu there for it, but it's grayed out.
You have to be in full screen.
You have to put into window mode, change the resolution, and then back to full screen mode. And then it'll stick.
Okay.
Yeah.
That usually happens like if you're playing a game in borderless. Well, I've seen that happen in games where if you're playing in borderless, but never full screen. Weird.
Yeah, I was in full screen. I had to switch to Windows mode. Then it unlocked, and I could change it to the correct resolution.
Was that because you're playing? Could that potentially be because you're playing? Are you using older drivers, perhaps, or you're an ultra wide?
I did think it might be something with the ultra wide, but it's got ultra wide resolutions on it. But when I looked online, the people were having trouble with people trying to play in normal, like 1069 resolution. So I had trouble. It got stuck in the wrong resolution. It was like stuck in the not 1080p. There's like a funny in between one, not 720. There's all like funny in between.
900 or 864.
Something like that. Yeah. Stuff like that. So, and that's how they got around. They just put it into window mode, changed it, and then put it back to full screen. It worked.
Sure.
So that was a weird one to have. But yeah, it's and it ran very nicely on my old machine. It ran quite nicely.
Your machine's old, but it's not a slouch.
No, it's starting to show its age. I think the advantage that I've got is that I feel because I'm probably still compared to the old generation of consoles, so therefore things are still being made for them, so I'm okay. I get away with it that way.
Yeah, no, but that's fair. I mean, I've always said to people, like, as long as you build as long as your machine back in the day was more powerful than a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One, you were set for a good 7+ years.
Yeah.
Now, if you build a machine and it's more powerful than, say, an Xbox Series X, you're good. Yeah. You're fucking good. You don't need to go any higher. You can, but you don't need to.
No, exactly. Because most games are designed for those. So, favorite games push the limits. So, yeah. But no, I have to say, I had a great time with it. It's got it's designed to be replayed. So, even once you complete the mission, you can go back and play any of the missions again from the hub. You can go back and play them more. It's clearly intended that you basically... I think the intention is you go all the way through to the end, then you go back and play them again and again and again to like build your character up. But like I say, I managed to have my character fully maxed out by about 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I did a lot of, for want of a better word, grinding to do that. I basically, between each main mission, I played perhaps 3 or 4 of the side missions. And that's just to get a bit more money in and basically build myself up that way. I did have to do a lot of grinding. It's got item levels as well. You've got items sort of you've got your rarities, you've got basic and plus, and the items are called like +1, +2, +3 for their rarity levels. You've got like sort of like a silvery color, which is +1, purple's +2, there's gold, which is +3. And they basically have both these. Quite a few weapon types. You've got auto guns, stub guns, which are basically 2 sides of the same coin when it comes to missile weapons. You've got bolters in there. You've got plasma guns, grav guns. You've got las guns. Although the only guy I come across was a long las, which is the sniper rifle, which I had as a secondary weapon. To my fight towards the end, my sort of loadout, which I got about halfway through, which didn't really change, was a bolter, a long las, and I had I eventually changed to a heavy bolter, but for a long time I had like a shotgun.
Yeah.
As my sort of like 3 weapons. I did have some pistols as well, but I never really used them.
Sure.
I also found plasma weapons a bit disappointing as well. Plasma weapons should be fucking devastating. They, again, on the tabletop and in lore, they are fucking devastating. They have a good chance of overheating and killing the person using them, but they will like go for. They are like one of the main weapons against armor and stuff. In this, they do a lot. They do more damage, but they are very slow. Their projectiles are really slow firing, but they don't really. Other than that, they don't really do a lot.
They hit like a sponge.
Yeah, that to me, if someone an enemy has a plasma weapon, you should be terrified of them because that should virtually kill you in a hit. You should be fucking terrified of them. But the enemies who've got plasma weapons, you can just like just sidestep out the way of them all the time. So I found plasma a little bit disappointing in it. But other than that, the people who clearly got into the lore, they clearly knew the lore quite well. Because I said it's basically a lot of the lore's fairly old. Like Cole Jericho, I don't think he's had any books out the last 10 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite for Warhammer, it's quite old lore. So I was quite impressed at the depth they got. So they obviously done their reading, their research to get it through, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun, nice little distraction.
Cool.
But yeah, I would say if you like fast-paced shooters, give it a go.
I'm gonna check it. I've got it, so at some point I will play it.
Cool. Right. Anything else from yourself, Skazz?
Nah, mate. Miserable week.
No, I totally feel for you. I feel so sorry for you. Okay, then, guys. Well, thank you for coming to join us this evening. Our next podcast is Saturday, 19th of November, assuming that the rest of Skazz Harvard doesn't die in the meantime.
Woo!
Yeah. Well, yeah, he joins us for a Raspberry Pi in a couple of weeks' time.
It might happen.
So if anyone wants to join us, let's say you can join us that. You can also join us on this Tuesday, 8th of November at 20:30 GMT. You can join us there for we're going to be playing. We're going to fucking finish Demio. I've decided that we're going to finish Demio, right?
All right.
I've had thoughts. I've been rewatching the video footage for recording. I've had some thoughts.
You got some strats, have you?
I wasn't with strats, but I've noticed some. I think I was watching the Serpent King because we're playing at the Serpent King.
Is there a gimmick you think we missed?
I think because when he reappears and he respawns that Manticore thing, whatever it is, there are those footprints things that like he sort of like casts stuff and it goes between all of them. I think so. It's got something to do with those. I think.
Right.
I'm not sure what. I'm not sure if we've got to destroy him or.
We did try stand on them, and I didn't see any way to hit them, but.
I think we've got to do something with them.
Okay.
Just looking at it, because it made such a point of highlighting them.
Yeah, you are right.
I think that's telling us something. We've got to do something with them. So I think we need to try and do something with them and see what happens. I also, it's the second time he respawned, there's only 3 parts. There's only 2 heads and 1 tail when you respawned it. And I wonder, because the first time you got 4 bits, you got a tail and 3 heads. The second time was tail and 2 heads. I wonder if the respawning has to do with the number of players.
I do.
So, because there's 3 of us, we only didn't get a full thing back. But anyway, we're going to finish that game off because we need to finish it off. Really,
agreed.
I'm enjoying it, but we need to move on. But we'll finish it off. We'll kill it off. So come join us on Tuesday night and see if we succeed or whether I'll be banging my head against the table again. And we look forward to seeing you in a fortnight's time at 21:30 GMT. So until then, see you later.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye, buddy.